Hi guys, Mrs. E, Mr. E. We're going to get you started on your first reading of Oedipus Rex, pages 1 through 21. We hope that this will help you get a taste for the type of reading, the language, give you a good grounding of what's happening in the play. If we were doing this in class, we would have read this all together as a class because it's a play, but fate had other plans for us, so we're doing the best we can in that way. So we're going to start on this page, with the bleeding eyeballed Oedipus, and I'm going to read all the scene notes and every other character besides Oedipus. Mr. E, extraordinaire, is going to read the part of Oedipus. So the scene starts outside in the front of the palace of Oedipus. There's also a shrine to Apollo. Probably the most significant thing here is Apollo was the god of prophecy. In terms of this play, is the god of other things too. But prophecy is an important idea in the play, the telling of the future, listening to it or not listening to it, etc. And there are seated many suppliants, which are just people who are praying under somebody else, who look for advice from somebody else. Like, would I be considered your suppliant?
No.
Right answer. Oedipus enters the stage from the palace.
My children, new-sprung race of old Cadmus, why do you sit at my shrines wearing garlands of the suppliant's olives? All around the city is filled with the smell of incense, all around filled with the sounds of hymns and groans. These things I did not think it right to learn from messengers, so I have come here myself, who am called Oedipus and known to all. But you, old man, tell me, since it is fitting for you to speak on their behalf, why you sit out here afraid of something or wanting it? So I would be willing to help you in any way, for he would be hard-hearted who did not pity such an assembly.
What are your initial impressions of Oedipus here?
Well, he wants to set a calming, sympathetic tone and say, basically, I've come here to help you. Fill me in. What's going on? Yeah.
He wants to do what's right? The other thing about this text I forgot to mention, there's all these side notes. Pay attention to those. They'll be really helpful to you if you don't understand an allusion or something to that effect. So the priest says, Oedipus, you who rule my land, you see how many of us sit here at your altars. Some do not yet have the strength to fly far. Others are heavy with age. I am the priest of Zeus, and these were chosen from the young men. There is another group wreathed as suppliants sitting in the marketplace, and another at the double-gated temple of Athena, and at the smoke-filled oracle of Ismenus. For the city, as you yourself can see, is badly shaken already, and from the waves can no longer lift her head above this bloody tossing. There is death in the fruitful buds from the earth, and in the pasturing herds, and even in the childless births of women. My daughter made us a sign, teacher, time out. It's not good, right?
Women are miscarrying.
No harvest. There's no production being done. No harvest in the fields. No production of new children. I know that sounds very...
Yeah, it's like an economic
Yeah,
depression.
but nothing...
Collapse.
Yeah, nothing is happening that's new and good. It's all old and dying. Falling upon us, the fire-bringing god, most hateful disease, drives the city, and by him the house of Cadmus is drained, and dark Hades grows rich, with groans and wails. Now, I do not hold you equal to the gods, nor to these children who sit at your hearth, but we judge you the first of men, both in the ordinary chances of life and in the contingencies of the divine. It was you who came and released Cadmus town from the tribute we paid to the cruel songstress, the Sphinx. And these things you did, knowing nothing from us, nor instructed at all, but with help from God you spoke and knew how to set our lives straight. And now, Oedipus, greatest in the eyes of all, we who are here as your suppliants beseech you to find some defense for us, as you may have heard the voice of one of the gods, or have learned something from a man. For I think that the ideas of experienced men most often succeed. Come, O best of mortals, and save our city. Come, but be careful, since now this land calls you her savior for your former zeal, and let us never recall of your reign that we first stood straight, but stumbled later. I like that line. rather than restore this city to safety. For at that time you gave us great fortune, but now equal to what you were then, since if indeed you would rule this land, just as you do now, it is far better to rule over men than a waste land. Nothing matters, neither tower nor ship, if it is empty of men to dwell within it. Real quick, teacher timeout. So essentially, the priest is saying, Oedipus, you're the best we've got. We know you're not a god. We're not equating you with the gods, but you helped save us from a plague before with the riddle of the Sphinx, and we need you to save us again and stop this plague. Okay, so they view Oedipus as the solution. The problem is he's also the cause, and that's where it gets a little bit ironic. Okay, go ahead, Oedipus.
My poor children, what you desire is known and not unknown to me. For I see well that everyone is sick, and being sick, still not one of you is as sick as I am. For your pain comes upon the individual, one by one, to each man alone and no other. But my soul groans for the city, for me and you together. Hence you do not wake me from sleep, but know that I have been weeping much and wandering many roads of the mind. And that which my inquiry found, our only cure I have done. For I have sent Creon, son of Meneceus, my own brother-in-law, to Apollo's home at Pytho, so that he may learn what I should do or say to save the city. And already enough time has passed that I wonder what he's doing, for he has stayed beyond the proper time. But whenever he comes, I would surely be an evil man not to do what the god reveals.
Okay, we're going to have another teacher timeout. Creon is an interesting character. He is Oedipus's brother-in-law, but also his uncle, technically, right? Because he's his mom's brother and his wife's brother at the same time, Jocasta's brother. So Mr. Osborne mentioned in the intro that there's a series of plays. The one that comes after this is Antigone, and Creon plays a major role in that play. And he actually is the tragic hero-ish of that play, would you say? So he's, once again, a cyclical character. He comes around. And
it's like we mentioned in the introduction that this relates to the Marvel Universe. These are stock characters that keep appearing in the same movie over and over again.
They don't go away.
Also, I was going to say these Greek plays all adhere to what's called the unity, the basic unities, this one being the unity of time. Meaning that everything happens within one day, in one place. And in this case, the Greeks, typically what they'll say is, he'll say, oh, I sent my uncle or my brother-in-law to look for the oracle. I wonder where he is. Oh, there he is. So it just keeps moving. It's like a really well, tightly edited movie.
Right. So in terms of plot, Oedipus sent Creon to receive information about why there's a plague, right? To get a prophecy about why it's happening. All right, the priest says, wonderful news, both what you have said and what these have just pointed out to me. Creon is approaching. There's that unity
Lord
thing.
Apollo, if only he might come with redeeming fortune as bright as the shine in his eyes.
It seems he brings good news, for otherwise he would not come crowned with berry-laden laurel. Or maybe he just likes a good berry-laden laurel. It's his fashion sense. I don't know.
We shall know soon, for he is close enough to hear. Lord, kinsman of my wife, child of Meneceus, what reply do you bring us from the god?
Enter Creon from off stage. A good one, for I say that even misfortunes, if somehow put right, bring only good luck. It's kind of a line about fate, right? Like even bad things put right can be good. It's just fate, you can't control it. All right, whatever. I like that line.
What sort of reply is this? For what you say gives me neither confidence nor fear.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. A lot of juxtaposition, right? Confusing times. If you wish these people nearby to hear, I am ready to speak. Or should we go inside?
I'll speak to everyone, for I consider their pain more important even than that of my own soul.
Teacher timeout. Teacher timeout. I think that line's really important because it sets the stage as Oedipus as a caring leader, one who puts his own well-being secondary to that of his people when he says, I consider their pain more important even than that of my own soul. And the fact that he wants them to hear everything means he's transparent, which is something that people really admire in leadership when they give you the whole story and not just bits and, feed you propaganda. So I think that is a important note to make, that Sophocles is painting Oedipus to be a very strong, good leader of people.
Yeah, in the ancient world, leadership before this, it was strictly about power. Might is right. And here it's about being good. So we live in a place where our leaders are supposed to be good people.
Go ahead, Creon. That's me. I shall say all I heard from the god. Phoebus clearly ordered us, my lord, to drive out the pollution being fostered in this very land, not to nurture it unhealed. Another teacher timeout. Pollution is a major motif throughout the play. So the idea of lands being polluted, people being polluted, making them clean.
Clean the swamp.
Drain the swamp, you heard that phrase before. It's still highly relevant in our modern politics. But look for the language, the symbolism of pollution. That's going to help develop a lot of the themes that are coming through in this play. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out to you.
With what cleansing and for what type of disaster?
By driving a man into exile or undoing murder with murder again, since this blood shakes our city like a storm.
And who is the man whose fate he decrees?
My lord, once Laius was our leader in this land before you came to govern this city.
So I've heard, though I never saw him.
He died, and the god now orders us clearly to take violent vengeance on the murderers. Teacher timeout. Who is it that murdered Laius again? Do you remember? It's Laius, or Oedipus.
It's ironic.
Yeah, it's
Dramatic
ironic,
irony.
right? Dramatic irony. So the thing that essentially the oracle is that, there's this murder that happened that's never been solved, and the gods, the land, that they're unhappy about the fact that Laius was murdered, and nobody knows who the murderer is, and so they start unpacking kind of the mystery of Laius'
Unsolved mysteries.
murder. Now, the audience already knows the answer. The answer is Oedipus. So the answer is not what makes the story interesting. It's how all these clues kind of come together that makes the story interesting. So it's one of those murder mysteries where you already know the answer, but that's not actually the most important or interesting part of the story anyways.
Where on earth are they? Where will be found this indistinct track of ancient guilt?
In this very land, he said, what is sought can be captured, but what is ignored escapes.
Did Laius meet his bloody fate in his home or estate or in some other land?
He left home to consult an oracle, he said, and never returned again once he had set out.
Did no messenger or fellow traveler see whom we might use to find something out?
No, they died, except one, who fleeing in fear of those he saw, had nothing to say but one thing.
What? For one thing could lead us to learn many, if from hope might come a small beginning.
He said that bandits fell upon them and killed him, not with one man's strength, but the hands of many. Okay, so, teacher timeout. One thing as the play continues is there's going to be like small drops or clues that help solve the mystery of who killed King Laius for the people, because the people don't know, even though we as audience members do. Oedipus doesn't even know that he's the killer of his father, right? So this is like the first clue. There was another guy with King Laius, and the only thing that he will report is that bandits fell upon them and killed him with not one man's strength, but the hands of many. It's kind of a little confusing because we know that it was one person, but Oedipus is very strong. It's kind of meant to show that his strength is that of many men and more than just one man. Also, this guy could be lying. So that's another issue, is like, if you're interviewing somebody in a case, right? How do you know that they're telling the truth? All of that kind of stuff. So anyways, that's just kind of keep watching these clues come up of who killed King Laius and how they use those clues to try and find an answer, or if they're ignoring important parts of the clue. That's another thing that you can look for throughout the play. Okay, Creon says then about line 137 here, this was suspected, but with Laius fallen...
Actually, I didn't read that line, 135.
Oh, sorry. 135. Rewind.
Wait, how did a bandit come to dare so much unless he acted with money from here?
Oh, good catch, because if we would have missed that, that would have been bad. That's another important motif type theme thing that pops up, is like corruption because of money, right? So Oedipus in the beginning especially really thinks that whoever killed King Laius did so to get money. It was greed for money, which once again, I really don't think that idea has disappeared in our modern discourse. I think we still hear a lot of that in talks of politics, and that money feeds corruption and greed and all that kind of stuff. So that's another idea that you're going to see come back again, and comes up a lot in other of Sophocles' plays as well, right? All right, so Creon says, this was suspected that he did it for money, but with Laius fallen, we had no helper in our troubles.
What kind of trouble when your kingship had fallen thus made you see to this so poorly?
The riddle-singing Sphinx compelled us to look at what lay at hand, forgetting things unseen. So essentially, we were so obsessed with the Sphinx that we forgot to investigate Laius's murder because we were too busy, surviving, okay?
Well, then I shall reveal these things anew. For justly did Phoebus, and justly did you assign me this case on behalf of the dead, so that you will rightly see me as an ally, avenging both this land and the god together. For not on behalf of more distant friends, but as if from myself, I shall dispel this stain. For whoever he was who killed that man would as soon kill me with that same violent hand. Helping that one, therefore, I'm helping myself. But you, my children, as soon as you can rise from these seats, stopping these suppliant wails. Someone muster here the people of Cadmus, as I will leave nothing undone. For with God's help, we shall see whether we are saved or lost.
Let's stand up, my children. Those things for which we came here, this man himself has promised. But may Phoebus, who sent these prophecies, come at once as savior and stayer of disease. Exiont omnis, just means exit all. So now the chorus comes in. I'm going to read the part of the chorus. I'm going to just go through it. I'm not going to give any sort of direction. Mr. Osborne's going to leave because he has no patience for the chorus. Just remember that the chorus in general was the mind of the common people. There are going to be allusions to Greek mythology up the wazoo. The nice thing about you reading this at home is you could have your Chromebook out, and if you don't remember who some of these players are in Greek mythology, you can look them up. A lot of them are referenced right in the side notes. The most important thing about the chorus is just to know that they represent the ideas of the common people. In this scene, they don't really move the plot forward at all. It just sort of repeats what we already know, but in a more poetic language. So once again, I'll read through it. There's a lot of stuff right for annotation in here in terms of the literary quality of the text, but there's nothing that important that's actually said. So the chorus says, O sweetly worded voice of Zeus, who are you who come from all gold Pytho to glorious Thebes? My frightened mind shakes in fear, quivering. O healing Delian Paean, I don't know how you say that, in awe before you. What is it you will achieve for me? Something new or something known in coming back again? Tell me, O child of golden hope, immortal utterance. Once again, it was broken into antistrophe and strophes. You don't really need to pay attention to that for our reading. First I call on you, daughter of Zeus, immortal Athena, and your earth-protecting sister Artemis, who sit, famous on your throne in the marketplace. And Phoebus, the far shooter, I call, my threefold protection from death, shine forth on me. If ever when madness was set upon this city, you went away our burning scourge, come also now. Alas, for I bear countless woes. Disease falls upon my entire crew, and no man's weapon can protect me. For the fruit of our famous land does not grow, nor do our women emerge from their mournful labors with offspring. One upon another you might see each soul like a well-winged bird, surer than irresistible fire, setting out for the promontory of the western god. Unable to count their number, the city is destroyed, and unpitied their generations lie upon the ground, spreading death, finding no mourners, while brides and white-haired mothers come together and groan as suppliants over their mournful labors. The hymn for healing and the lament ring loud together. Because of these, O golden daughter of Zeus, send bright-eyed strength. Furious Ares, now without bronze shields, yet still surrounded by cries, confronts me and burns me. Let him, in hurried running, turn his back on our fatherland, either borne by a wind into the great chamber of Amphitrite, really, it's an ocean goddess, I don't know how to say that, or rushing into the inhospitable Thracian wave. For if night ever leaves something undone, day comes along to complete it. This one, O reverend lightning bearer, Father Zeus, make him perish with your thunderbolt. And you, Lord of light, from your golden bow, I would have your unconquered arrows fly, as a guard set in front of me before my enemy, and those of shining, fire-bringing Artemis, with which she darts across the hills of Lycia. And I call upon the one with the golden headband, eponym of this land, wine-faced Bacchus. He's the god of partying. I always remember him. Hailed companion of the Maenads' throng, to approach with a torch of shining pine against this god dishonored by the gods. So in other words, they're just saying, gods, please help us and look out for us. Okay, it's an appeal to the gods. All right, enter Oedipus from the palace.
You seek, and what you seek, if you are willing to listen to my words and help in this sickness, you may take as help and relief from your troubles. Although a stranger to both report and victim, I shall announce these things, for I would not be far in tracking it if I did not have some clue. But now, since only later did I become a citizen among citizens, I decree the following to the people of Cadmus. Whoever among you knows at whose hands Laius, son of Labdacus, was destroyed, I order this man to tell it all to me. And if the culprit fears this accusation, he should lose his fear and come forward, for he will suffer nothing worse than safe exile from this land. But if someone knows that another or one from another land is the murderer, let him not be silent, for I myself shall complete his reward, and he will have my favor. But if you are silent again, and someone out of fear pushes away responsibility from himself or a friend, then you must hear from me what I intend to do. I ban this man, whoever he is, from all land over which I hold power and the throne. I decree that no one shall receive him or speak to him, nor make him partner in prayers to the gods or sacrifices, nor allow to him holy water, but instead that everyone must expel him from their homes, as this man is the source of our pollution, as the Oracle of Pytho has just revealed to me. And so I myself...
He's making a bad situation for himself because...
It's ironic.
Yeah, a lot of dramatic irony.
He says, whoever did this is cursed. Even if it were I myself, I'd be cursed.
And it is him, so he's cursing himself. That's fine.
And so I myself am become an ally, both to the god and the man who died. And I curse the doer, whether he worked alone or evaded us with accomplices, that he wear out his unlucky life as badly as he himself is bad. And I pray, if he should be known to me and share in my hearth among my family, that I suffer all that I called upon these. All these things I charge you to complete on my behalf and on the gods, and for this land wasted away, fruitless and godless. But even if this problem were not put before us by God, you should not suffer this unclean thing. Since the man lost was both very noble and your king, so see this through. Now since I am ruler and hold this kingdom that he held before, holding also the bed and wife we have both sown, and children of the same mother would have been born to us.
It just got bad. It got really bad.
Had his line not been ill-fated, since chance has driven me into that one's powers, therefore I shall fight for him in this matter, as if for my own father.
Oh my God, it is his own father.
And I shall try everything, seeking to find the one who committed the murder, for Labdacus' son of Polydorus, and before him Cadmus and Agenor, kings of old. I pray God that to those who do not do these things, no crop may spring up from the ground, nor children from their wives, but they be destroyed in suffering more hateful than that which holds us now. But to you other people of Cadmus, to however many approve what I say, may justice and all the gods stay with you always as your ally.
Just as you adjured me under a new course, my lord, so shall I speak. For neither did I kill, nor am I able to show the killer, but it is the task of the one who sent it, Phoebus, to say whoever has done this thing.
You have spoken justly, but no man can compel the gods when they are unwilling.
Okay, quick teacher timeout. This idea of compelling the gods, there's a name for that called divine intervention. Very popular in like the Odyssey or in any sort of Greek myth. The idea that the gods, you can ask them to do stuff for you, but they may or may not intervene. They're kind of their own little human-y type things, living up in the skies, right? They had human-like traits. So, a lot of times people will compel the gods to help them, especially in times of need. But you can't. They're going to do what they want to do, right?
Yeah, I think it's the idea that there's some things in your control, some things that are outside of your control, and trying to find the line in between them. That applies to all of us even today. But this is a mythologizing of that concept.
Yes. So the chorus says, I would say things secondary to this, but things which I think ought to be said.
And if there are matters tertiary to it, do not fail to say them also.
I know that my lord Tiresias most always sees the same as my lord Apollo. From him, when investigating this, might learn the wisest things. Okay, teacher timeout. So Tiresias is another kind of stock character who makes prophecies or who can see the future. He augurs the future. He's in Julius Caesar even, right? Shakespeare took him from Greek mythology. Or plays, I should say, instead. But anywho, he is another character who is known to see the future, and it almost always comes true. So he's highly credible in that way. So in this case, they're like, okay, you had a prophecy from Apollo, now you get one from Tiresias, and chances are that that prophecy is going to be very, very close to the truth because those are two credible fortune tellers, in other words. Correct.
But this has not been neglected. No, even this I have done. For I sent 2 guides after Creon mentioned him. And it is surprising only that he is not already here.
Now, I think here Oedipus is getting a little defensive of his leadership, right?
Yes, he is.
He's like, I'm taken care of.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
100% did that.
I'm one step ahead of you.
Yeah, so he's kind of like, listen, people, I'm a good leader. I'm taking care of this. The chorus says, then, there are still other reports, though mute and old.
Wait. What's this? I will investigate any story.
It is said he died, he being King Laius, at the hands of bandits.
So I've heard, but no one sees the one who saw.
But if he has any fear at all, hearing such curses as yours, he will not remain here. In other words, your speech there, Oedipus,
Might scare him off.
You were laying out all these harsh conditions, and if somebody really did see the truth, they're going to run away because they don't want to suffer those consequences you just put forth. So the chorus is kind of calling Oedipus out here, like, you were a little bit harsh and you should have thought through looking to like what do you call that when you have a hard heavy-handed?
Yeah,
you look too heavy-handed, and now the person who knows the truth probably won't come forward.
But to a man who does not shrink from doing a thing, a word will not be frightening.
But the one to accuse him is here. For already those men lead hither the godlike seer, in whom alone of men lives the truth. So enter Tiresias. Remember, he's blind. He's a blind prophet, which
it's ironic
too. Led by the guides.
O Tiresias, who grasps all things, both what can be learned and what is unspeakable, both of heaven and treading the earth, even if you cannot see, you still understand what sickness plagues our city. And we find, Lord, you alone are our Savior and Defender. For Phoebus, if you have not heard this also from the messengers, in response to our question, said relief from the sickness would only come if we should discover and punish well the murderers of Laius, or send them forth as fugitives from this land. Therefore, grudging nothing from the speech of birds, that means divine prophecy by observing the patterns of birds, or something known from another source of divination, save yourself and the city, and save me. Ward off all the pollution from the dead man. We are in your hands. And to help a man from troubles when you have the power, that's the sweetest of labors.
Alas, alas, how terrible to know when it does not help the knower. It's another one of my favorite lines. Like, what if you know, but you're not going to actually listen to what the knowledge is? It doesn't help you. What's the point?
Have they studied rhetorical devices, by the way?
No, we haven't touched on those at all. I'm just joking. Of course they have.
Okay. Yeah. It's a repetition of the word know and knower. I can't remember the name of that, but yeah. It's an epigram.
Oh, it's like a part of a whole. Or no.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, you're repeating a word in the middle at the end.
Yeah. For knowing this will I let slip. I should not have come here.
What's this? Oh, dispiritedly you've come.
Send me home, for you will bear your lot easily, and I mine, if you will yield to me.
You speak neither clearly nor helpfully to the city which raised you, if you guard your thoughts.
For I see that your words come at the wrong time, and since I would not suffer the same thing...
No, by the gods, don't hold back what you know. When all of us as suppliants bow down before you.
End scene. So you see here that Oedipus is starting to get very frustrated with Tiresias, and that probably is not a good thing because Tiresias tends to know the truth and the future, and Oedipus is sort of closing him off and is also frustrated, and that is not unlike like Julius Caesar, for example, how arrogant Julius Caesar was and did not listen to the advice or the prophecies of others and called them fools and all that. Like, you'll see some of that with Oedipus coming up here, and that's sort of an important point as we move forward in the play. Once again, listening to others, being open as a leader to what others have to say, and being open to the truth.
And also Tiresias sees the truth. He's not impressed by the power of any king. Even life itself doesn't mean anything to him. He has no physical, he's physically disabled. You can see there are going to be fireworks coming up.
So that's the end of your reading for today. We hope this was helpful in grounding you in what the most important parts of the text, like Mr. Ellsburn mentioned earlier. Some things in the translation, it's not important that you know every single line, but that you basically understand the spirit of what's being read, especially when you are dealing with a lot of this more from home and don't have the support of an in-class teacher every single day. So 4 annotations for this reading, and then you're moving forward with the rest of the play throughout the week on your own, but I will be available to help. If you need any help, I'm going to schedule a Zoom on Wednesday. So I hope that was helpful. It was good kind of thinking about teaching you or seeing you. Even though I can't see you, I can envision you all, and I hope it was helpful. Stay safe, stay connected, and most of all, stay literate during this time, right? All right, talk to you guys later.